G'day guys, I'm Kwackajack, and as you probably remember from my last video, I've recently just put on the stock exhaust back onto my Ninja 400, and there was a few reasons why I did that, and I outlined them in the last video. However, since that video, I've gone for a few rides and I've noticed a big difference in obviously not only how it sounds, but how the bike acts. And today, I'm going to be taking you out on a ride with me and showing you exactly what I mean.
Alright guys, how are we? So, I've had the Leo Vince pipe on this bike for around a year and a half, and you know what? I absolutely loved it. It was a terrific little slip-on exhaust. Made the bike sound and feel a lot meaner and raw. But I've decided to go back to the stock. Alright, so since putting the stock exhaust back on the bike, I've noticed a few things have changed. First of all, obviously the sound, you know, that's an obvious one. It's a lot more quiet now. You probably can barely even hear it. On the highway, the sound just disappears behind the wind. And it's a lot more easy on the ears during long journeys. Now, other than the sound, I've noticed quite a few other things have changed since putting it back on. And, you know, there were things that I wasn't expecting. Because I had the Leo Vince exhaust on there for so long, I've almost forgotten what it felt like with the stock exhaust on there, so it's kind of like riding a whole new bike. And the first thing that I noticed with the new exhaust is engine braking. Engine braking is a lot stronger with the stock exhaust than it was with my previous slip-on. With the Leo Vince pipe on, I would have to brake quite often. And I find myself having to do that a lot less now with the stock exhaust. And I have a feeling I know what's causing that, and that's because, you know, there's a lot more back pressure in the exhaust now. With that Leo Vince pipe, that was a straight pipe, so the exhaust was coming straight out. There was no baffles, no nothing. It was just a straight pipe. And now that there's a bit of back pressure in the exhaust, I assume that's what's causing the engine braking to be a little bit stronger. If I can get onto a straight stretch of road, I'll show you what I mean. But even look, coming up to here, I don't need to brake at all. Whereas with the Leo Vince, I would have my finger on that trigger. The Leo Vince pipe would sort of just allow me to coast even without having the throttle on, and I could, you know, just roll down the road almost and not have to really worry about engine braking. So yeah, with the stock exhaust, that's changed, and it's a lot stronger. So second thing that I noticed since putting this exhaust back on is, and this isn't so much the bike as it is me, but I tend to ride in a higher gear on average now. With my previous Leo Vince exhaust, because it was so loud, and it was so loud throughout the entire rev range, it could be harder for me to know exactly where I was in the rev range without looking. And, you know, I think that meant that I didn't change up as often, and I would keep it in a lower gear more frequently too. Now though, I can really hear when I'm revving it, like, you know, it's only really loud when I'm revving it, and I can tell a lot easier. So yeah, I tend to leave it in a higher gear now than I did before, just because I can hear how hard the engine is working a lot easier than I could before, when it was just blasting me with noise the entire time. Okay, so third thing I've noticed since putting it back on is that the gear changes seem to be a lot smoother. You can notice it more so on the downshifts, because with the Leo Vince on, they were quite clunky. I'm talking like, if I changed it down now from 5th to 4th, I would be like this. I'd be, you know, and I have to work very hard to make sure it was smooth, controlling the throttle. But if I do that now, I can't even feel that, you know what I mean? It's so smooth. Changing up is like butter, I'm telling you, with the stock exhaust. And I forgot about this with that other one on, because I had it on for so long. I forgot how smooth the gear changing on this bike is. So it's nice to come back to that. I imagine I'll be able to tell a lot more when I have a passenger on here too. Whenever I took my girlfriend out on a ride, I'd have to work very hard to make sure that the gear changing was smooth as possible. Otherwise we'd both be like this, you know, clunking heads. But I imagine now it'll be a lot nicer. Now, while the gear changing is smoother, both up and down, which is really nice, another thing I've noticed is that I feel more vibrations from the bike. So it's mostly through the handlebars and the seat. There's not a lot, but a fair bit more vibrations coming through, and it's not to the point where it's uncomfortable or making my hands numb or anything, but it's definitely noticeable. I'd say this is once again due to the back pressure in the stock exhaust compared to the straight pipe. You know, that exhaust was going just straight out before, and now it's doing its thing in that stock exhaust. So yeah, the vibrations aren't bad. I don't want to make it seem like it is, but they're more noticeable now through the handlebars and the seat. So another positive thing that I've noticed since putting the stock exhaust back on is the fuel mileage. It's a lot better. Now, I made a whole video about this. I can link it up there now. But with the Leo Vince LV10 slip-on, I was getting around 250 to 280 kilometers per tank on average. And, you know, while that's not bad, now I'm probably getting at least 350, upwards to maybe 400 even. You can see there I've done 222, and it says I've got another 115 to go. So, and I've been flogging it on this tank too, so that's on the lower end. On average, it's going to be a lot higher than it was with that other slip-on. And you know, that might not be as big of a deal to some people, but with the type of riding that I'm planning to do in the near future, that's a big positive for me. And it means I don't need to worry about it as much on a longer ride. So one more note is that obviously, like I said, while the stock exhaust is a lot quieter and tamer than the Leo Vince, there are still parts of the rev range where I do enjoy the exhaust notes. Specifically, 4th and 5th gear, between 7,000 to 8,000 revs, there's this little deep growl that comes from it that I quite enjoy. I'll see if I can show you what I mean in just a second. You also do hear the intake sound of the engine a lot more. You did not hear that at all once you had the Leo Vince on, because it was just blasting you. I'll see if I can get to a straight bit of road and I'll show you what I mean. But yeah, it's like a nice, just little one, little deep growl. I mean, you can't expect too much from this little 400cc 2-cylinder. It seems to be buzzy lower down in the rev range than higher up. Here we go, I'll see if I can show you what I mean. Hear that? Yeah. Just a little growl, not a big one. Just a nice little one. So yeah, there you have it guys. That's what I've noticed since putting the stock exhaust back onto my Ninja 400. The bike is a lot tamer, the gear shifting is a lot smoother, the engine braking is a bit stronger, but there is a bit more vibrations through the handles and the seat. So this is what all the stock bikes would be like. It's just been a long time since, you know, I've had the stock exhaust on mine, and it's nice to experience it and change it up a little bit, and that's what I said I wanted from it when I was changing it back over. Really looking forward to being able to do some longer rides. Already it's a lot easier to ride the bike for long distances because it's not as loud. You know, while I really enjoyed the sound of the Leo Vince exhaust, what the problem was that it was loud throughout the entire rev range. You know, not just when I gave it a kick, but even just at idle, or like, it was just really loud, and it was starting to give me headaches and stuff. So yeah, switching it up a little bit, back to the stock, and I'm enjoying it. So thanks for joining me on this ride. We'll do more of these soon. Can't wait to bring you guys more content. Please do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you next time, guys. Catch ya.